owns Swains Island. He and his family own Swains Island. And his wife came with us. She was one of the 3 cooks. Alex had to stay behind because the legislature was in session, and so he had to be there. His brother met us on the island, and his brother was on the island with us throughout. And so we pulled away from the harbor, and you can see it's a very pastoral setting. But you cannot get away from McDonald's, even a Pago Pago. That's the governor's mansion, the fuel dump, and this is the outlet to the ocean. Now, I always thought American Samoa was an island. It was American Samoa. No, there are several islands that make up American Samoa. And you can see one of them in the background there. The main island is Tutuila. That's where Pago Pago is located. But there are several other islands as well. So we sat in the dining room during our passage. This is N6HC. He is the section communication manager for LA, and I helped to get him on this particular expedition. And he was one of the virgins on the trip, and he brought his K3 with him and a wire antenna, and he operated Maritime Mobile during the passage. I couldn't convince him that he would get enough of radio operating during the DXpedition. As it turns out, he's a very avid DXpeditioner, a very good operator, and he did not get enough operating, and he's going to come with us to Cabanaba. This was our captain. He is also a member of the Jennings family. Very helpful. This was the only clean part of the boat, the wheelhouse. We had the typical very narrow bunks to share with the cockroaches. And after our passage, we saw Swains Island. Our passage was not uneventful. And I'll get into that a little bit later. But our tent city was already erected when we got there. This was our galley. And this is where the team slept, and then off to the side, on the other side, was where the support personnel slept. It was all tent camping, obviously. There's no one-star hotel or motel. And this is the passageway through the reef to the boat, our transportation. And that's how we're offloaded, and the boat's gone up and down and side to side. And they pull these little Zodiac up and offload stuff. And even though it was just a very short trip, they made us put on the Coast Guard floats. This is DL3 DXX, a very active DXer. Since our trip to Swains, he's been to Namibia. He's been to Clipperton Island recently. He's been all over the world. This is our QSL manager, AA4NN, and if you didn't get a QSL card, let me know. We'll make sure you get one. So here's the passageway through the reef, and you can see tides coming out. I mean, you're beginning to see the bottom of the lagoon there. And here the tide's out, and you can actually walk from the beach all the way out to the reef out here. And then when the tide comes in, it's very spectacular. And you see all these blowholes. This is David Jennings, who was our host, and a prince of a guy, and he made sure that we were very comfortable, and I can honestly say he was as successful as anybody for this DXpedition to take place and to be successful. This was David's son. So everything was loaded onto the beach. And then fortunately, we had a little four-wheeler and a little wagon so that we could get our equipment up and down the beach. This is the turnpike on Swains Island. And you can see it's all coral. This is not a sandy beach, so it's all coral, very rocky. And the beach is really not that wide. Out here, it's warm. As soon as you walk into the jungle there, you are surrounded by mosquitoes. Again, you can see the tide out. Narrow beach. Not very hospitable. So we got all our stuff unloaded and set to work to putting our antennas up. I won't get into the specifics of the antennas because of the same type of antennas we've used on all the other DXpeditions that I've talked to you about. Basically single band vertical dipole, 2-element parasitic arrays for 10 through 20, and verticals for 30, 40, 80, and 160. We did have a 4-square on 40. Actually, we had 2 4-squares for 40, one at the sideband and one at the CW sites. But the phasing box for one of the 4-squares did not work very well, so we ended up just using a single element vertical for 40, and it worked fine. These antennas are very easy to put together. I put this in here. Being the doctor on the trip, I had responsibility for making sure that people stayed healthy. And one of the things that I suggested was that since we knew we were going to be on a coral beach, you should not be running around in flip-flops. You should wear either boots or at least tennis shoes. And you can see there's a problem here. We're in amongst the trees here. Mosquitoes are omnipresent. Long pants were recommended. You can see there's a problem here. We're out in the sun on the beach, and I always recommend that you use that you wear a brimmed hat, preferably a wide brimmed hat, because you can get burnt on the back of your neck as easily as the bridge of your nose. You can see there's a problem here. But he's one of the leaders, so he can do whatever the hell he wants to do. So, again, very narrow beach. This is a 4-square for 40. And if you look closely, you can see, first of all, that the tide's out here. So, when the tide does come in, it comes in up to about this level here. There's not much beach. And if you look at the 4-square, you've got 1 square, 2 square, 3 square. Where's the 4th square to make it a square? Well, it's back here in the jungle. So it was difficult to erect this particular kind of antenna on such a narrow beach. This was our 160-meter antenna, and you can see the other antennas in the background here. What I call antenna alley. I won't take credit for putting this antenna up because if I would not have put it up here. And here's the reason why. This is a Titanic. It's a 70-foot vertical antenna that is resonant with a matching box at the base for 40, 80, and 160. Problem is that it has to sit at the base of the antenna. And you can see where the water is. And the tide's out. So this didn't last very long. Yeah, this antenna really, if it had been put up, should have been put up way back here. But they didn't want to do that because then they'd have to put radios into the jungle and get eaten alive by the mosquitoes. The second problem was, that, you know, the antennas require guying, and you need stakes, and you can see there's not much room to put stakes out because you're going to be in the water. Well, you know, these stakes didn't last very long in the surf, and in fact, we did lose some of these stakes. So that part of the planning really didn't go as smoothly as I would have hoped. But the other antennas did perform well, and they were relatively easy to get up. And we had two sets of antennas, one for the CW side of operations, and the other set for sideband and radio teletype. Not a lot of birds on this island. A lot of the places I've been to, they're sanctuaries, and we're required to put a tape on all the guys. But here, since there weren't a lot of birds, we really didn't have to bother much with that, and that was a blessing because it's a pain in the neck to label all the guy ropes and deal with that. So the other thing that you'll notice is this was our 30-meter vertical, and the beach was so unstable that we actually ended up using a pallet to stabilize this particular antenna. One of the problems that I don't think the organizers appreciated was that you really need to use very long stakes in a coral beach like this. If you're in a sandy beach, you can get away with shorter stakes, but in a coral beach, you really don't get much purchase on the stakes, and they move around. So this was the base of the 30-meter antenna, and you know, we had some big stakes that held the pallet in place and then ran the radios out. And this doesn't project very well, does it? But I think you can see this is what happened to that 30-meter vertical when one of the stakes came out. And unfortunately, it bent here such that it was impossible to get the antenna back to a vertical position again, because when you raise it, it gets to a certain point, and then it just bounces up to vertical. And all this would do, because of the bend, was it would just rotate around circularly. Couldn't get it up. Now we did operate 6 meters. We had there's a new antenna concern, Innov antennas, and they did provide us with a 6-meter Optes 5-element 6-meter beam that we used, but unfortunately 6 meters never really opened up for us while we were there. Well, I'm sure he was listening for us. This was our sideband, actually, I'm sorry, this was our CW10. And we had 3 operating sites plus the 6-meter radio at this particular site. And, you know, pretty standard setup, paddle, bandpass filters, radio, amplifier. We used a KPA 500 amplifiers. We had 4 of them. They're made by Elecraft. If anybody is in the market for buying a HF amplifier, do look at the KPA 500. It is a beautiful amplifier, runs 500 watts, and it just so easy to use. It's seamless. We had ICOM 7600 transceivers, and at these 2 sites, we had the ICOM amplifiers that were sitting on the coral beach here. Fans are very important.